Pierre stared into the hole, his heart pounding with a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. The late afternoon sun cast golden rays over the garden, illuminating what lay below, a large, ornate wooden chest, its surface adorned with intricate carvings that seemed ancient yet well-preserved. The designs were of strange symbols and what appeared to be a family crest he didn't recognize. His breath caught in his throat. "Mom, Dad." He yelled, his voice trembling. His parents rushed out, their curiosity quickly turning into astonishment as they gazed down at the mysterious chest. Pierre's father fetched a crowbar, and with a few determined pries, the chest creaked open, revealing its contents. Inside was an assortment of objects, aged leather-bound books, a rusted compass, and a small locked box with a key sitting next to it. But the centerpiece was a peculiar journal with Gioni's name scrawled on the front. "This belonged to Gioni," Pierre's mother whispered, picking up the journal carefully. Pierre eagerly flipped through the pages. The journal was filled with Gioni's handwriting, detailing an adventure he had undertaken years ago, with cryptic notes about maps, riddles, and the mysterious village they now called home. There were drawings of underground tunnels, strange artifacts, and references to a place Gioni had simply called the Forgotten Vault. One passage caught Pierre's eye. "To the one who unearths this chest, beware, the vault holds power and secrets, but it is not without its dangers. Only the purest intentions will reveal the way." Pierre's father held up the rusted compass. This could be the key to whatever Gioni was talking about. "Look, it's not pointing north, it's spinning wildly." His mother shook her head, torn between excitement and worrying. "Are you sure we should pursue this?" Gioni was always an imaginative kid. "But what if there is truth to this? What if it's dangerous?" Pierre, wide-eyed and determined, gripped the journal tightly. "We have to find out. Gioni was my best friend. He wanted someone to discover this." The family decided to investigate further. Using the drone, the compass, and Gioni's maps, they began piecing together clues. The journal led them to the outskirts of the village, where an overgrown path twisted deep into the woods. Pierre, armed with a flashlight and boundless courage, led the way. Every rustle of leaves and snap of twigs sent chills down their spines, but the compass continued to guide them. Eventually, they reached the mouth of a cave hidden behind a cascade of ivy. A faint blue glow emanated from within. As they stepped inside, the air grew cooler and the glow became brighter. At the end of the tunnel was a massive door covered in the same symbols that had been carved into the chest. Pierre placed the compass into an indentation on the door. It clicked and the ground beneath them rumbled. Slowly, the door opened to reveal a cavern filled with glittering crystals, ancient relics, and what appeared to be a fountain of shimmering liquid light. A pedestal stood in the center of the room, holding a small, crystalline sphere. Pierre approached the pedestal, the light of the sphere reflecting in his wide eyes. As he reached out, a voice echoed through the chamber, deep and resonant. The vault was not meant to be discovered lightly. What you choose here will shape your destiny. Pierre hesitated, then turned to his parents, who nodded in silent encouragement. He touched the sphere, and in that moment, a wave of warmth and light enveloped the cavern. Visions of Gioni laughing and exploring the village as a young boy flashed before Pierre's eyes. A sense of understanding washed over him. Gioni had left this not as a treasure to possess, but as a legacy of curiosity, friendship, and the belief that adventure lies in the unknown. As the light faded, the family found themselves standing in their garden again, the chest still at their feet, but the journal now gone. The compass, however, remained in Pierre's hand, its needle finally pointing north. From that day forward, Pierre knew his life would be different. The mystery of the vault had changed him, given him not just answers, but a purpose. And though the garden returned to its usual quiet, Pierre would never stop searching for the next great adventure hidden in the world's shadows. The days following the discovery were anything but ordinary. Pierre couldn't shake the feeling that their brief time in the vault had only scratched the surface of a greater mystery. The compass, now a steady companion, seemed almost alive. It glinted in the sunlight as if urging him to uncover more secrets, but his parents insisted on caution. "Let's take a break from all this, Pierre," his mother said one morning, running her fingers over his unkempt hair. "You've had your adventure, but school's starting soon. The world will still be here when you're ready." Pierre nodded absent-mindedly, but deep down, he wasn't sure he could wait. The compass was behaving strangely again, its needle quivering as if it sensed something nearby. Gioni's warning about the vault replayed in his mind. Asterisk, only the purest intentions will reveal the way. Asterisk, what had the vault shown him, and why did it feel like there was more? A week later, Pierre was in the attic, rummaging through old boxes to distract himself, when he found something extraordinary. A dusty, forgotten map of the village. It looked ancient, with detailed sketches of landmarks and paths that no longer existed, so he thought. Among them was a faint outline of the cave they had visited, but the map hinted at something else, a network of underground tunnels branching out beneath the village, leading to places marked with symbols he recognized from Gioni's journal. One symbol was circled in bold red ink, and next to it, Gioni had written to cryptic words, "Heart Chamber." Pierre's pulse quickened. Could this be where the compass wanted to lead him? He decided not to tell his parents yet. This time, he wanted to see it through himself. The next morning, Pierre packed a backpack with essentials, a flashlight, snacks, the map, and of course, the compass. As he left the house, the needle began quivering again, pointing toward the dense forest beyond the village. It felt almost as if the compass were alive, nudging him forward. The forest was eerily quiet. The usual chirping of birds and rustling of leaves seemed to have been swallowed by an unseen force. Pierre followed the compass deeper into the woods until he stumbled upon something peculiar, a stone archway overgrown with vines. It was so old that the markings on it had nearly worn away, but he could make out a faint carving of the same crest he had seen on the chest. This was an entrance to the tunnels on the map. Pierre pushed past the vines and stepped through the archway, his flashlight casting long, flickering shadows on the damp walls. The air inside the tunnel was cool and heavy, carrying a faint metallic scent. As he ventured deeper, the compass began to hum faintly, its vibrations syncing with the beat of his own heart. He soon came to a fork in the path. The map showed both routes leading to different parts of the underground network, but the compass tugged him to the left. He followed, each step echoing in the silence. The tunnel narrowed and twisted until finally, he emerged into a cavern unlike anything he had ever seen. The heart chamber was breathtaking. Crystals similar to those in the vault adorned the walls, casting a soft, otherworldly glow. In the center of the chamber was a pedestal, much like the one in the vault, but this one held a different object, a glowing orb, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. Surrounding the pedestal were four stone statues, each of a figure holding a different artifact: a sword, a staff, a key, and a shield. The statues seemed to watch Pierre as he stepped closer. Before he could reach the orb, a deep, resonant voice filled the chamber. "You have come far, Pierre, but the heart chamber is not just a place, it is a test. To take what lies here, you must prove your worth." The ground beneath him trembled, and the statues began to move. Their eyes glowed with the same light as the orb, and they stepped forward, their stone weapons raised. Pierre stumbled backward, his mind racing. He wasn't sure what he had expected, but it wasn't this. The voice spoke again. "The heart chamber holds power, but it must be earned. Courage, wisdom, humility, and strength show these, and the path will open." Pierre took a deep breath, clutching the compass tightly. He realized that each statue represented one of the virtues the voice had named. This wasn't just a test of bravery, it was a test of character. But how could he possibly prove himself to stone guardians? Pierre's journey in the heart chamber would mark the beginning of an even greater adventure, one that would reveal the truth about Gioni's legacy, the vault's secrets, and Pierre's own destiny. The stakes were higher than he'd ever imagined, but Pierre wasn't afraid. He had started as a boy digging a hole in his garden, and now he stood on the brink of something extraordinary. With the compass guiding him, He knew one thing for certain: his story was only just beginning. Pierre stood frozen for a moment, his mind racing as the statues advanced. Each step they took reverberated through the chamber, a rhythmic cadence that matched the pulsing of the glowing orb on the pedestal. He gripped the compass tightly, its hum now steady in his hand as if urging him to act. Courage, wisdom, humility, and strength, Pierre repeated to himself. These were the keys, but how could he demonstrate them to beings made of stone? The first statue, the one holding the sword, stepped forward. Its glowing eyes seemed to pierce through Pierre as it raised the blade high. Do you have the courage to face the unknown, even when fear grips your heart? The voice boomed. Pierre's legs trembled, but he planted his feet firmly. I'm scared, he admitted aloud, his voice echoing in the cavern, but fear won't stop me. I came here to understand Gioni's message, and I'm not leaving until I do. The sword paused mid-swing, a soft light radiated from the statue, and its eyes dimmed. Slowly, it lowered its blade, stepping back into its original position. Pierre exhaled, his heart pounding. The second statue, wielding the staff, moved next. It raised the staff high, and the chamber filled with a blinding light. Images flashed in front of Pierre, his family, the village, the paths he had taken to get here. Then the images warped, showing alternate versions of his journey, paths he could have taken, decisions he could have made differently. The staff's bearer seemed to be asking an unspoken question. Do you possess the wisdom to see the truth, even when the path is unclear? The voice asked. Pierre stared at the flickering visions. Some showed him turning back, never finding the chest. Others showed him taking risks, acting recklessly. One path showed him grasping the orb on the pedestal, only for the chamber to collapse around him. Pierre thought carefully before speaking. I don't know everything, he admitted, and I've made mistakes. But I've learned to listen, to think before I act. That's how I'll find the truth. The light dimmed, and the second statue nodded slightly before stepping back into place. Pierre felt a surge of confidence. 2 trials down, 2 to go. The third statue, holding the key, moved silently forward. It extended the key toward Pierre, then pulled it back, repeating the motion several times as if testing his reaction. Do you have the humility to accept help and admit when you cannot go forward alone? Pierre hesitated. This question hit harder than the others. He had spent so much time trying to prove himself to his parents, to himself, to the memory of Gioni, but he realized he hadn't done it alone. His parents had helped him dig the garden, the drone had shown him the path. Even Gioni's journal had guided him here. I couldn't have done this by myself, Pierre said softly. I didn't get here alone, and I won't be able to keep going without help. The statue seemed to bow its head slightly before returning to its place. Pierre felt a strange warmth in his chest, as if the chamber itself approved of his words. The fourth and final statue, the one bearing the shield, stepped forward. Its shield gleamed in the chamber's light as it stood still, blocking Pierre's view of the pedestal. The voice returned, louder than before. Do you have the strength to protect what matters most, even when it means sacrificing your own desires? Pierre stared at the shield, realizing what it represented. His thoughts turned to his family. They had always been there for him, even when he had pushed ahead without telling them the full truth. Would he risk their safety or his own for this mysterious adventure? He thought about the glowing orb, the vault, and everything he had learned. What if taking the orb wasn't what mattered most? I want to keep going, Pierre said firmly, but not if it puts the people I care about in danger. I'll protect them, even if it means letting go of the orb. The shield glowed faintly before the statue stepped aside, revealing the pedestal once more. The orb now pulsed with a soft, inviting light, and the voice returned, gentler this time. You have shown courage, wisdom, humility, and strength. The heart chamber has tested you, and you have proven yourself worthy. Now, take the gift, but remember, power is not possession. It is responsibility. Pierre approached the pedestal. His hands trembled as he reached out and touched the orb. A wave of warmth spread through him, and suddenly, the cavern was filled with light. Images flooded his mind, a vision of the vault, its glowing crystals connected to other chambers hidden across the world, scenes of ancient explorers discovering and protecting these places. And finally, an image of Gioni himself, smiling. As the light faded, the orb transformed into something small and delicate in Pierre's hand, a crystal shard, warm to the touch. The compass vibrated softly, its needle pointing forward again, as if the journey was far from over. The statues returned to their still positions, and the voice echoed one final time, "This is not the end, Pierre. It is the beginning. The shard will guide you when the time comes. Protect it well." Pierre made his way back to the surface, the shard glowing faintly in his pocket. His parents were waiting anxiously at the garden's edge. When they saw him, they rushed forward, their relief turning to curiosity when they noticed the serene look on his face. "Did you find it?" his mother asked. Pierre nodded. "I found something, but it's not just about what's in the heart chamber, it's about what's out there. There's more to this, and I think it's going to change everything." As they walked back toward the house, Pierre glanced down at the compass. Its needle was steady now, pointing toward the horizon. He smiled, knowing the world was full of mysteries waiting to be uncovered. And this time, he wouldn't be digging alone.